Let's talk some basketball.
And we'll do that with Coach Wimp Sanderson, who joins us now on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Coach joins us each week, courtesy of our friends at the RentalWorks division of CraneWorks. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How you guys?
Doing well. I don't know anything about basketball, but
I noticed.
Yes, you've mentioned it once or 1,000 times, and I thought Alabama actually had a really good game plan, and it worked somewhat to perfection because they got Kessler in foul trouble very early, which only helped that game plan, but still couldn't win the game, and that seems even more concerning. Like, it would seem it'd be less concerning if you're like, hey, we just had a bad game plan, but it seemed like, Coach, their game plan actually worked, and they still couldn't win the game.
Well, they played. Both teams played okay. I think played hard, played well. The key to the game for Auburn's win was for Auburn to defend Quinterly. Quinterly's been awfully good throughout the year and takes the basketball to the basket very well. They put size on him, a bigger guy with a long reach. And when they switched to him, they switched a big guy to him. And I think his ability to get to the basket throughout the preceding games was big. And last night he did not get to the basket very well. And I thought that was the main difference. If you look at stats and want to study stats, they're about the same. Auburn committed more fouls, and they did foul more, regardless of what Sonny said. I was at the game, but I just felt like that the defending of Quinterly was a real key. They don't really have a third guy that really comes in and scores real big for them. Alabama does. Now, Alabama's got a good team. Auburn's got a good team. Both of them are NCAA teams, but the difference there, I thought, was the defense on Quinterly.
Sticking with Quinterly, though, and I brought this up, Coach, I thought one of the big moments, about 40 seconds left in the game, Auburn's up 79-77. Quinterly gets that open look in the corner and decides to pass it up because Jabari's closing in, maybe blocks the shot, maybe doesn't. I thought he had plenty of time to get it off.
Yeah, I thought he did too, and I don't know why he passed that up. He during the warm-ups before, as they were warming up way prior to the game, he stayed on the other end, shot shots by himself. Some trying to get things going, but he did pass that shot up. But he's a very effective player and a very good player, but you're right. For some reason, he passed that up. Shackelford is not playing quite as well, not getting the shots quite as much as he has, and Ellis is a good player for him, but and the Davidson kid is real showy and real athletic. He when he dunked the ball, everybody went crazy, but it was a good game. It was a good crowd at Tuscaloosa. They had good home court advantage for that game. Auburn had some people there, not what Jim said, the Kentucky number, but
actually, it was Coach Pearl that said that to Jim's defense.
Okay,
Bruce Pearl said that. Yes.
Well, they had some people there, but certainly not the Kentucky number. But Auburn's got a very, very fine team, and as I've stated, they're going to go a long way in the NCAA tournament.
Wimp Sanderson is with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. And Coach, I'll ask you, you're going to say, I don't want to coach anybody else's team. I understand that. And I'm not asking you to coach anybody else's team. I'm asking you as a basketball analyst, a basketball mind, what do you work on if you're Alabama right now? What's the one thing that's getting them off to some slow starts where they're having to battle back in the second half of some of these games down double digits? They battle back. They got chances to win late, but how are they getting in this hole? What's happening?
You continue to work defensively, and they were better defensively last night than they were at Mizzou. And the other factor is they've got to hit the boards. They've got to rebound better. They got killed at Mizzou pretty badly with the boards, and the boards were about even last night. But you've got to continue to work hard. What you're trying to do is this: you're trying to limit the other team to one shot under pressure. If you can pressure the other team and limit them to one shot with defensive rebounds, you're in business. And you have to do it. You have to work at that very hard. And then when you go to the other end, when you shoot the threes, and you've got to retrieve the misses and put back some offensive boards. So I think the boards are big. There are occasions in some games where they turn it over a little bit too much. I think Coach would say that to you. But I would say the boards are huge, something that people don't think about much. They think about other things, shooting and those kinds of things. Maybe they hadn't been shooting the basketball quite as well. But I think those are the two factors that that get them off to a great start if they can get cheap baskets along with the threes. Now, when you are a 3-point shooting team, the way Alabama is, and when you refer to them as one of the outstanding 3-point shooting teams, and you're only averaging 7 mades a game for the last 2 games. I think that was right at Mizzou. I know it was 7 last night. Then you're not quite doing what you need to get done. Now, with other teams defensively, they're maybe a little bit better on you. They know who to defend, who not to defend, but they need to pick that up and shoot the threes a little bit better. They really don't worry about where they shoot the three from. They're different than a lot of teams. They've done very well, very successful with that. So I would say they need to do that as well.
Coach is presented by the RentalWorks division of CraneWorks. Assuming you were coaching someone else's team, how would you defend Jabari Smith?
Whew.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
He's a booger bear.
Yeah.
You just have to do everything you possibly can to keep the basketball off of him as much as you could, and try to guard him. I've always believed that you try to do everything you can to defend a guy when they don't have the ball, and try to keep the ball off of them and cut down on the number of their catches. Now, a lot of times you can't do that with him, and certainly Alabama doesn't have the size to defend him. But I would say you try to cut down on his catches as much as you possibly can. But to come into that game last night, I think he got 25 or something.
Yeah, 25 last night.
He's an outstanding player and going to be, very, very high in the draft. So Kessler got in foul trouble off the boards a little bit, but I thought maybe last night was going to be a real key for Alabama to really do a good job on the boards, and they did. They were good. It was a 1 or 2 point rebound difference, but Jabari, the Smith kid, is outstanding, and Auburn has an outstanding team, and so I think Alabama is going to continue to get better. They're going through a schedule now. You have to, and I'll say this to you, and this is not any big deal, but when I talk about scheduling is big to me. Now, you have 5 teams that you play twice. And the way I look at it, just from a guy looking at it, Auburn is going to have 6 wins out of those 5 teams. They're going to have South Carolina, who they've already beaten, Georgia, and Ole Miss. They're going to get 6 cotton-picking wins out of those 5 teams, and they've already gotten one out of Alabama. Alabama's 5 teams that they play are more difficult. They're playing Kentucky twice. I thought playing Missouri twice would be 2 pluses for them, but it wasn't. And then, of course, they have LSU, Auburn, and Mississippi State. So if you look at, and I study schedules all the time, I always have, then if you look at the schedule, Alabama's a little bit more difficult than Auburn's when you look at those 10 games. Now, you've got 8 more games, 4 on the road and 4 at home. If you have any disappointments thus far in the league, the disappointments would be Arkansas. They would be a team that you thought was going to be in the top 4 or 5, 3 or 4, and they're not. And if you want a team that's playing a little bit better than you thought they would play, it would be Texas A&M.
I know in January you don't want to panic after losing 3 of 5, but let's assume you're coaching someone else's team again. Do you think about possibly changing the starting lineup, and a guy like Noah Gurley, insert him?
I don't think so. I think you just see how things go at practice and how they do at practice, and if he gets in the game and he does well, then change it. But I don't think you push the panic button. These kids have been awfully good for a good while. But I don't. Gurley has. I don't know that Gurley has played maybe, and I don't know this, quite as well as maybe they thought that he would when they took him or signed him or whatever. But he had a 20-point night the other night, and
it just seems like his minutes are going up, though, Coach, and he has become defensively kind of a factor as well.
Yeah, I would agree. He's got somewhat better form, and I think he's a good basketball player. I don't know that he's played maybe quite as well as they had hoped he would play, and I could be dead wrong about that. I don't really, ask the coaches there about personnel much, but it's going to be an interesting 14-game schedule now. With I'm fortunate enough to have 2 of my teams honored at the Baylor game and at the Kentucky game, so I'm excited about that.
Great crowds for those games.
My 81-82 team, the team that beat Kentucky to win the championship in Lexington, will be honored at the Baylor game, and at the Kentucky game, we're going to have the 1991 team that beat Tennessee in the finals in Nashville. So the reason we're having two this year is COVID last year kept us from having one of the teams. And so two great games, and I'm excited to be able to see a lot of my kids come back in and visit with them.
Yeah, those two great crowds, two great home games. If you can get tickets, make sure you're there to honor Wimp's teams and cheer on the Tide there. Auburn on the road to Ole Miss, Alabama on the road to Mississippi State, and the Saturday games coming up. Wimp's with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotlines. To football now, our first chance to talk to you since Georgia became the national champions with the win over Alabama the other night. Your first thought on what you saw the other night and your thoughts on Alabama moving forward. Everybody seems to be in a pretty good place with the Tide moving into 2022.
Reason for the loss was twofold. And I'm not crying about any of this kind of stuff, but you have a very difficult. I probably shouldn't even put this first, but when you lose your two best receivers, when the kid went down with the ankle. If he doesn't go down on that particular play, not ankle, but his leg, they're going to score. And to lose those two pass receivers is a killer. So that was one of the things. The other thing was that Georgia did a very good job in changing the pass rush. They are very good defensive football coaches, football team. They're probably more skilled than Alabama is. And so they did an excellent job of changing the pass rush. And if the offensive line cannot keep them out and give Bryce a little bit more time, it's difficult for him to really be real successful with that much pressure. Those two factors, in my opinion, and I felt that way before the game, but I knew the pass rush was going to be changed. And I don't know what experts, because I'm certainly not an expert on any of this stuff, but I was just wondering what the people felt like. Not people, but the experts felt like about the offensive line of Alabama. I thought the one thing that impressed me about how smart Coach Saban is, as they were standing up to leave, the quarterback and the great linebacker, he asked him to sit down. And when they sat down, he said it at a very timely time. I want to thank you, and not these words, of what you have done, the leadership you've shown, and a lot of positive things that he said. That could not have been said at a better time, because they're going through an off season now with a great team coming back, and I thought, he does such a great job. I'm talking about Coach, of being able to say something at the right time to the right people in the right way. He bragged on Kirby. He said the right things, and he was sincere about them. But also he wanted his guys when they left that table to go feel good about themselves, although they were disappointed, but to be ready to go and lead this team the next year. I thought that was great.
All right, he is the coach, and well said. I agree with you on that. The coach, Wimp Sanderson, who joins us each week on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Coach, you join us courtesy of the RentalWorks division of CraneWorks.
Well, I do. CraneWorks equipment rental division. RentalWorks is the source for all the home projects that you need, and big or small. Forget renting from big box stores. RentalWorks has reliable machines and local experts to help you find exactly what you need for DIY projects. Call them for your personalized quotes and visits, and CraneWorks.com is what you need to look at on the internet. Thank you, guys. Enjoyed it.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Love you.
Okay. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That is the coach, Wimp Sanders. He says it a lot now. Coach with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.